Route 66, the American Mother Road. This iconic highway has a rich history steeped in American culture. Our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents traveled this path to the west for decades. The route has been the backdrop for countless Hollywood films, it has inspired novels, brought people together, and been the subject of legendary American songs. I've wanted to travel Route 66 since I was a 12-year-old and saw the Disney film Cars. Finally, 18 years after that film released, I'm riding my Indian Chieftain Dark Horse across the country to rediscover America, and it all begins with Route 66.
The time has finally come, guys. We are headed to Sturgis 2024. We're hitting the road, we're on the highway. We've got a lot of mileage to cover on day one. It's going to be a little boring, not too much to see, but by this evening we will have our first national park of the trip under our belt. Cuyahoga National Park in Ohio. This trip is going to hit so many national parks and cover so much of the country. I'm doing 7,000 miles out and back, 23 states. It's going to be a lot more than just Sturgis. But update number one is we've been on the road for about an hour or 15 minutes or so. We'll pick up 90 here shortly once we get south of Albany, and then it's 90 all the way to Cleveland. We'll go south of Cleveland to Cuyahoga National Park. This is going to be awesome. If there's any cool stuff from today, I'll put it here. We made it to Cuyahoga Falls National Park. This is our first stop of all the national parks across America. The bike's in one piece, a little bit dirty, but it was a nice day, not too hot. Let's go see some sights in Cuyahoga National Park.
Welcome to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, one of America's most recent additions to the national park list. This park actually used to be one of the most polluted areas in the entire country. The Cuyahoga River that runs through the park had at least 13 fires on its surface between 1868 and 1969. The last fire sparked national attention, no pun intended, and in 1972 we passed the Clean Water Act. In 1974, this area became a national recreational area, and finally in the year 2000 it was elevated to national park status. As you walk and ride through Cuyahoga, you can still see the remnants of the industrial age of Ohio, including the Ohio and Erie Canal towpath, as well as the old railroad, which has been integrated as part of the park, and you can now even take scenic rides on the railroad through the valley. The Cuyahoga Valley National Park was a perfect start to my journey across America, but I was far more excited to get to the hotel, get some good sleep, and get going on day two, which would finally bring me to what I've been looking forward to for so long, Route 66. Day 2 begins just south of Cuyahoga National Park in Ohio, headed down the highway towards Kentucky. My goal was to get through Kentucky and Indiana over to St. Louis to pick up Route 66, beginning at the Gateway Arch National Park.
My critiques on Indiana. There's a lot of corn. It's very flat. That's about it. Corn, flat. More corn, more flat. Are you getting the picture? Anyone else get really tired when they drive?
I had originally planned to stop off in Louisville, Kentucky at the Louisville Slugger Bat Factory and Museum. Unfortunately, a major accident closed the highway, so I was forced to divert around the city. Rather than trying to get back in and find a back way into the city, for sake of time, I decided to continue my journey westward towards St. Louis, because I wanted to see the arch and get some good video shots before the sun set that evening. Next up was Indiana, and well, there's not much to see or do unless you are really, really into corn. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of corn and soybean fields, I saw it. Gateway to the American West, the Gateway National Arch.
We're coming over the Mississippi River here in a minute. We'll have our best look at her from over the river. That's cool. That is very cool. There's a good look at downtown. Must have been a Cardinals game today. Lots of people here in Cardinals gear. There's our view of the arch from downtown. That is spectacular. I hope you guys enjoyed those shots of the St. Louis Arch. We're on our way out now. Fairly easy to navigate downtown. I was not looking forward to getting in there and dealing with parking. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go up the arch today, but that will leave something to do for next time. So we're headed out into West Missouri now. On 44, going to be headed to a state park for the evening and staying in Merrimack State Park. So, if there's anything interesting along the way, you guys know the drill. I will show it on the camera. Otherwise, I'll meet you guys in Merrimack. Welcome to Route 66 State Park. This is a state park in Missouri, and this bridge behind me used to be part of the Mother Road. If we turn the camera around, you guys will see where the road came in. This was old 66 right through here. And then the bridge was going to be demolished, but some conservationists stepped in. They want to preserve it, and they're going to finish it. They need more funding. Groups always need funding for stuff, but they saved it from being totally torn down. You guys can probably hear and also see right there, US Highway 44. So Route 66 went along through here. 44 was built, bypassed it, and that was the end of 66 in its heyday. They got a nice little visitor center here. Got bathrooms. Nice place to stop off and just take a break from the highway. So if you guys are on 44 just out of St. Louis headed westbound, swing by here, take a look, go through the little visitor center / museum history area, and take a break from the highway.
As I left Route 66 State Park in Missouri and started my trip west towards Merrimack for the evening, I knew I was in a race against time against the storms, but I checked my phone and it assured me I was totally going to make it, so why put on the rain gear, right?
I thought I would make it to the state park before the rain hit. Missed it by 5 miles. Sure enough, the sky opened up as soon as I rounded the last 4 or 5 miles, and it quit the moment I got off the highway. Of course. Oh well. I am soaked, but we're almost to the state park. Got a nice place to stay tonight. We'll make the best of it. I'm looking forward to dinner. I've got some camping food with me. I think they also have a restaurant here, or some sort of snack bar. so that could also be an option. I'm excited. I've heard nice reviews about this place. Merrimack State Park, they've got a hotel and conference center as well as cabins, and of course normal tent campground sites. I'm staying in the Park Hotel, so don't actually have to break out the camping gear, which is wonderful because there's nothing worse than putting away wet camping gear.
As day 2 drew to a close, I was soaked, I was tired, and I was so happy to finally be on the Mother Road headed west, and I knew the next day would bring lots of exciting sights along Route 66. I had a bit of a hassle trying to find anyone to let me into my room when I got to the state park in Merrimack, but after a while I was able to get in, make some dinner, and go to bed and get some much needed rest, and maybe more importantly, dry out all the riding gear.
We are off the highway and on Route 66. We're going to try to stay on 66 as much as possible today. We've got a long way to go through Oklahoma to the other side of Oklahoma City. When I started out this morning, I was on the highway initially on 44, but since I got off the highway and picked up actual Route 66, it's so much nicer. It's beautiful, there's no traffic, and it's just a great way to travel. This is far more enjoyable, and I know I'm going to the same destination because I'm paralleling the highway most of the way. And since I've been on here, I've seen so many little old historic places. Things that are still preserved, things that are run down and will probably disintegrate in the next few years. And it's just a shame that we bypassed it and that its heyday is over. There's the interstate right there. So you're never lost if you need to get back on the highway, the main highway, and make up time or get to somewhere. It's always easy to get off and get over there, but I would recommend traveling on Route 66. There's no traffic, it's beautiful, and you're going to see so much more and enjoy your time way more without all the tractor trailers and all the bad traffic. Guys, I made it! It's Buc-ee's! I am way too excited about this. Beaver Road, Travel Plaza. We have made it! 1,500 miles, guys. Worth it. Welcome to Kansas, y'all. We just crossed over. We're on historic Route 66. You can see the little Kansas US 66 markers painted on the pavement. And I am trying to outrun yet another rainstorm. It's supposed to hit in about 3 minutes. I'm just trying to get up here to cars on the route. That's where I was gonna stop for lunch anyway, but I would much rather be inside when that storm hits. It is so much cooler to be on Route 66 than to be out on the highway. This is the little town of Galena, Kansas. Saw the inspiration for Mater. We're headed off to the big 66 sign, and then we're gonna drop down into Arkansas just for a second, simply because I need to check Arkansas off my list so I can hit all 50 states. Just a personal thing, not all happening in one trip, obviously. Also was able to dodge the rainstorm. It went north of us. Doesn't look like much coming behind it. Should be clear the whole way, especially going south into Oklahoma. That should be good. The historic Rainbow Bridge. I have something special to tell you guys. Something that happened back there when I pulled up in front of that restored Phillips station in Baxter Springs. There was a gentleman sitting on a bench out in front. His name is Dean Walker. He was one of the inspirations behind Tow Mater in the movie Cars. When the Pixar guys were here, going through Galena, Kansas, and going through that area, they went over the Rainbow Bridge and they met Mr. Walker, and he introduced himself. And from what his friends told me, I didn't ask him about this directly, he wanted to tell me all about Route 66, but from what people told me there at the Cars on the Route place, he said to them, look what I can do. And because he's double jointed, he was able to turn both of his feet around and walk backwards with his feet pointed the other way. So that was part of the inspiration for the movie, where Mater can drive better backwards than he can forwards. And he was just sitting on the bench outside, and I told him where I was from, where I was headed. He asked me about my motorcycle, wanted to know what my plan was for the route. He took me inside the Lowell Visitor Center there, and he handed me every brochure and pamphlet you could imagine for every cool place on the road between here and where I'm going to be getting off of Route 66. And just a very kind, nice man. It was special to meet him. And yeah, part of this riding across America on Route 66, this was inspired for me when I was a kid from the movie. 18 years ago that movie came out, and I've wanted to ride Route 66 ever since. So getting to meet people who are the real life, inspirations for the characters in the film, that's something special. People just fly by and take a picture and they ride through town and see it and leave. But stopping and meeting people today has been one of the best parts of my trip so far. Alright, so we are not on Route 66 currently. I've dropped off of the route for the moment. We're headed south in Missouri to the tri-point marker of Missouri, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, because I need Arkansas on part of this goal to touch all 50 states. So we're headed to hit that marker, and then we'll be diving off into the Cherokee Reservation in Oklahoma and back up onto Route 66. Alright, we made it to the tri-point marker. We've got Missouri, now I'm in Arkansas, now I'm in Oklahoma. I've never walked between 3 states so fast in my life. Now we're headed back off into Oklahoma, go back up, pick up Route 66, and off to the west side of Oklahoma City for the night. Got a lot of driving ahead. The
of Catoosa has long been a roadside attraction for those traveling Route 66. Apparently, back in the day, there used to be a diving board up on top of the tail, and the ladders on the side were because people could swim in the pond, crawl back onto the whale, and then go out the different slides, go off the diving board, and climb around it. Unfortunately, that has all been taken away, and swimming is no longer allowed. But you can fish there and still go through the whale, and they do maintain it and keep it looking nice for travelers who still want to stop by and see it.
Man, we've covered a lot today. Cars on the route, Galena, Kansas into Baxter Springs. Inspiration for Radiator Springs in the movie Cars. Met Dean Walker. Hit Arkansas, jumped back up onto Route 66. Saw the Catoosa Blue Whale. And now we're on 66 out of Tulsa, headed for Oklahoma City. Goal is to be west of Oklahoma City in El Reno by tonight. And then tomorrow is quite possibly the longest day of my journey. I'm going to try to be up and on the road by 5:30, if not sooner. Because there's a lot to see tomorrow, and the goal is to get from El Reno, Oklahoma, just west of Oklahoma City, all the way to Gallup, New Mexico, on the west side of New Mexico. So there's a lot to cover and a lot to see along the way. Cool sights. So the sooner we can get to El Reno tonight and get to bed, the better. Day 2 on Route 66 is coming to a close. We're just outside of Oklahoma City on the east side here. If there's anything interesting or cool along the way, of course I will film it for you guys, but for right now, I'm just enjoying the ride. The highway was too much. I thought I'd make a little bit of time up and hop on there. Wasn't worth it for even one exit, so I got back off, and I've just taken some water breaks, pulling off and seeing all the little Phillips stations along the way, the ones that still exist, or at least what's left of them, and just enjoying the ride, going a little slower. Although the speed limit out here does get up to 65 in areas, so plenty speedy along this little 2-lane route. What a great day along the Mother Road, meeting people, seeing the sights. If you guys have not done a trip on this route, I highly recommend it.
Just west of Oklahoma City along Route 66, you'll find the Oklahoma Route 66 Museum. They've got all kinds of awesome historical pieces and memorabilia from along the Mother Road inside of here. Unfortunately, I was not able to get in because they were not open when I got there. I got there very early in the morning because I had a very long day ahead of me. Heading out of Oklahoma, my next stop was the Leaning Tower of Texas in Britton, Texas.
Welcome to Texas! right, our first spot in Texas is checked off. The Leaning Tower of Texas in Britain. Now, we're headed off to Amarillo. That's our next spot, Amarillo by morning, and we will make it there. And then, after Amarillo, we've got Cadillac Ranch. We also have the gift shop on Route 66 in Adrian, Texas, the halfway point on the Mother Road. So we got a few spots left to go. It's been a bit difficult riding this morning. I have had the bike leaned over hard at points, and I was more focused on riding than talking and filming. But the wind out of the south off to my left here is driving hard north, very hard north. So at points I've had this bike leaned over pretty far, just trying to compensate for the wind. A gust almost pushed me off the road at one point, really strong gust. Haven't had any more like that one, thankfully, but the wind has been rough, and it seems to be worse the faster I go, so I've tried to slow it down a little bit. Up next, Amarillo. We have arrived, y'all, at our next stop, Cadillac Ranch. Guys, it is hot out here, 99 degrees on the route today. Town of Adrian, Texas, the midpoint on the route.
Your destination is on the right.
Halfway point on Route 66 in the bag. We are out of Texas and headed into New Mexico. Next stop, Tucumcari? Not sure how you pronounce it, but headed to the historic Old Blue Swallow Motel. Not going to be staying there, but going to be seeing it. This is one of those spots where the road doesn't really exist anymore, or this is the road. This is Route 66. You can see maybe where it was before. I don't know if that's where it was, but it's all dirt over there now. It's been paralleling the highway for so long, and we just got back on here then because we ran out of road. So I'm gonna guess that's where it was, maybe at one point. And now it's only the interstate. We're almost to New Mexico here. Just a few more miles. Wide open, beautiful spaces. Welcome to New Mexico! Welcome to New Mexico, land of enchantment, Breaking Bad, and Walter White, and that good meth. Pretty much everything I know about New Mexico came from Breaking Bad. I'm sorry if you're from New Mexico, but that's all I know about you guys. That was a super nice couple from Mexico City. They're headed up to Sturgis as well, doing the same route I am. They took my picture, I took theirs, gave them a Motoblade sticker, and off they go. This is the Blue Swallow Motel. They've got a famous neon sign, which was part of the inspiration. In the movie Cars, they combined the neon sign from here along with the Wigwam Motel to get the concept of the cozy cone for the movie. It is hot out here. I just stopped off at a little gas station in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. For all I know, that was the name of the town. 106 on the Indian. I was seeing 108 a little bit ago. I was able to park in the shade, go inside. There was no air conditioning, but just getting in the shade was worth it. Got some cold water. Got some body armor to drink. And now we're racing a train through New Mexico. Our next stop is going to be Santa Rosa and the Blue Hole. That's the plan, at least. Route 66 is really the forgotten road. It's on the map, barely. You got the train on one side, Interstate 40 on the other. No traffic on this. I mean, it's not perfectly smooth, but I'd still rather be on here than out there fighting semis and idiots. There goes the train.
If you're planning to ride across the country on actual Route 66 the whole way, like you see I'm doing here, be prepared. There's grass out onto the road. There are even sections of road that are washed out in areas, and places where the weeds are growing up 2 to 3 feet tall right down the middle of the road. This isn't too bad right through here, but you guys can see there was still some washout, the grass is encroaching onto the road, and there were even areas with tumbleweeds just hanging out right in the middle of the road. So if you're going to go across the old stretches of Route 66, just be prepared, take your time, and don't rush it, because there could be less than ideal road conditions for you guys.
Well, it's kind of like in Vacation when they get to Wally World. Sorry folks, the moose out front says the park's closed. The Blue Hole is closed due to a cave-in they had. But it happened about a month ago, and I was hoping they would be all open by now, but they are not. It looks so nice, and it's 108 degrees out here on the highway today. 65-degree water would be perfect.
After the Santa Rosa Blue Hole, my next stop was Albuquerque, New Mexico. I didn't really stop there for anything other than gas because it was so freaking hot. It was pushing well over 100 degrees and I was just not having a great time. By the time I got on the west side of Albuquerque, it had dropped to 99 degrees and that felt like air conditioning. The peak I saw that day was 115. I just kept pouring water in my helmet and trying to stay cool. As I continued my journey across New Mexico, I saw these beautiful red rock landscapes. Cutting through the high desert on Interstate 40 was absolutely beautiful. Unfortunately, Route 66 does not exist anymore in large stretches of the country. It has been completely replaced by the interstate. So you'll be off the interstate and on throughout your trip if you decide to cover the entire route.
We made it, guys, to Grants, New Mexico, and the famous historic Route 66 and drive-through sign. Next stop, Gallup, New Mexico. We've made it to the Continental Divide, just east of Gallup, New Mexico. Just a little bit more on Route 66, and we will be in Gallup for the night at the historic El Rancho Hotel. Indian Village gift shop over there. Continental Divide gift shop. Remember, never let a good historical marker go to waste. Always have a gift shop.
In the early 1920s, Americans' hopes were high and the economy was soaring. In Oklahoma, a man by the name of R.E. Griffith had just opened his first movie theater. Then, the market collapsed and the Great Depression began. However, One enterprise in America boomed during the Depression as our citizens looked elsewhere for distraction, and that place was Hollywood. Griffith acquired and built new movie theaters all across Texas and New Mexico during this time, and when he arrived in Gallup in 1936 to open the Chief and Navajo Theater, he was already a huge tycoon. While in Gallup, Griffith realized the appeal and draw of the Old West, and a new idea took over him: a hospitality location. His project would be called the El Rancho Hotel, and it would soon become immortalized along Route 66 as the place for stars, movie production crews, and travelers to all stop in and get some rest and good food. Just a few of the big-name celebrities who have graced this old hotel through the years include John Wayne, Katharine Hepburn, Ronald Reagan, Humphrey Bogart, Lucille Ball, Doris Day, Jimmy Stewart, Jack Benny, Betty Grable, Mae West, Gene Autry, and Rita Hayworth, and that's just a few. When the allure of westerns began to fade, so did the draw to the El Rancho Hotel. The bypass of Route 66 was another huge blow to this place. Thankfully, a man by the name of Armand Ortega, a well-known Indian trader, purchased the hotel and restored it entirely to its previous splendor. Today, the hotel is a perfect time capsule of the Old West and a beautiful place to stay, with a full restaurant and Armand's world-famous Indian store inside. After 3 days on Route 66 and well over 1,000 miles, I was finally at the end of my journey on the Mother Road. The next day, I would turn north and head towards Monument Valley and begin my sweep of the American National Parks. Part 2 of this journey across America will be Monument Valley and the Grand Canyon. If you guys have enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe so you don't miss any more of these videos, and thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Ride safe, ride on, and I will see you all in my next video.